Let's take a look at problem 9.61. Use figure 9.20, which is in your textbooks on page 364, to indicate the polarity of each bond with a polar arrow and using partial charges. So this is a table, or chart, very similar to the one in your textbook. I double checked the numbers, and it all works out. So you can use this one as well. So looking first of all for nitrogen and boron, 3.0 and 2.0. Well, nitrogen is the more electronegative atom, so that means that it is going to receive the arrow end of our polar arrow, and boron will have the plus. So hopefully when you saw the polar arrow, you were able to kind of figure out the plus indicates the positive side, and the arrow is pointing towards the more electronegative element. And then if we use partial charges, you're also going to have little lowercase delta and delta minus. All right, pretty simple. Let's take a look at nitrogen and oxygen. Again, 3.0, and this time oxygen has an electronegativity of 3.5. So we will see the opposite side convention. Nitrogen is slightly more positive. So this time we'll see our plus there and our minus with oxygen. Let's look at carbon and sulfur. Carbon has an electronegativity of 2.5, and sulfur also has an electronegativity of 2.5. So in this case, it will not be a polar bond. It will be a non-polar bond, and we don't have to do anything. Let's take a look at sulfur and oxygen. Sulfur has an electronegativity of 2.5, oxygen 3.5. Oxygen is the more electronegative atom. So we'll point the arrow from sulfur to oxygen, and a partial positive for sulfur and a partial negative for oxygen. And finally, let's take a look at nitrogen and hydrogen. I'll let you try to work this one out on your own, and then I'll come in with the answer in just a few seconds. So hopefully you went right to the table and saw that nitrogen has an electronegativity of 3.0, while hydrogen has 2.1. So that means that nitrogen is the more electronegative atom, and we are going to have the arrow pointing towards nitrogen, like so, with a partial positive by our hydrogen, and a partial negative by our nitrogen. And there you have it. As per usual, if you need help, feel free to send me an email or book a time with me during office hours.